And hi guys, and welcome. Merry Christmas to everyone. With me, the 40k Empress and Logan Kirillian here. It's actually still Christmas. Yes, here Christmas is 3 days according to our calendar. So it's not one, it's not two, it's three. So still Christmas, and that's why I hope that you all have amazing, Christmas. And we like to wish you a ton of health, happiness, and love. That is usually one of the most important wishes that you can get on Christmas here. Okay, so have gathered here today, and hi to everybody in the chat. Hi guys, Mr. YouTube and dear Clayton, to discuss the two most shocking and interesting stuff, interesting things, news that happened in 2024 that are quite significant, you can say, considering what else happened. Of course, there's some things that happen in the lore, but what happened in the lore, again, with one particular turn of things, like adding.
Turn. Yeah.
It's a adding and turning up stuff. I don't know how to call it.
A heel turn.
Okay. So yeah, with the female Custodes thing. And then the Henry Cavill Amazon show is actually going forward, which I called it. I told you guys that all the speculations that other channels were doing were just to make a sensation out of it, but there was no actual concrete proof to state things as facts, which those channels did. And right now, what are the actual news? Well, that things are going forward. So that's it. But we're going to get to that news and to how we feel about it when we get to there. But first, the female Custodes. Yeah. So, Wogan.
Yeah.
As someone that really got into 40k this year.
That also happened this year.
Yeah, that actually happened this year.
Significant things that happened.
Yeah, around me. What do you think about all of a sudden a faction turning into also a woman's faction? Because before that, the Custodes were only male. And there's a literal quote from the Emperor where he says that they are his men, so to speak. Yeah. And there's, of course, another piece of text in which you can read that they are the sons of noble houses. And there's even other referrals from other characters that talk about the Custodes as men.
And probably now hidden people are working like Santa's elves to erase all these proofs that we have, from
evidence.
Wikipedia and everything else. Yeah. Well, I mean, much like when they do that in comic books, also here is bullcrap. I mean, unnecessary. When we actually have, as we say, we actually have proof why they supposed to be only men. I mean, it's not like let's say in the Green Lanterns to say no, we can have everyone. In the Green Lanterns you can have everyone. For example, everyone can be a Green Lantern as long as the ring chooses you, right? So no reason there. But here we have concrete proof. The Emperor says it, so it's really, we all know why is it happening. Then again, we don't know for who was this made.
Yeah.
I mean, which woman would feel, honored when they see that, abomination that looks like as if the abomination from the Hulk and the Hulk had a child.
Yeah.
Or
they poop one.
Yeah.
They just pooped one.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah,
they said, hey, let's poop something.
Yeah.
It's currently a female custodian.
Female custodian, yes.
Yeah, well, all the other people that actually defend this, they pretend to care that, they are listening to what female fans of Warhammer say, but when a female fan, actually says that she doesn't like it because this and this reason, like a whole thesis about why I don't like it.
And also nothing female about that.
They pretend to not hear.
Yeah.
At all. It's like, what? Blah, 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 blah. So if it's not their opinion, it doesn't matter if a female says it. It doesn't matter. Okay, so yeah, basically, guys, when something is retconned this way, it doesn't work because it's out of nowhere. There are a lot of things that were additions to the lore. We have talked about this throughout the year. What is the difference between having something that's not yet fully developed in the lore and just adding stuff to it, and in this case particular faction that's already developed, it's full-fledged, we know what the Custodes are, we don't know the super tiny details about how they're actually made, we do know that they come directly from the Emperor, so to speak, so they're like his sons a lot more directly, for example, than the Astartes, and the process of creating a Custodes is different, but they still need exceptional male individuals for that process to be completed successfully, so you can actually have a Custodes, because it's not as well, yeah, I mean, you cannot massively produce the Custodes to that extent in which you can with the Space Marines. And that process is also complicated, and that process also requires exceptional individuals, let alone the Custodes as men. So GW just did not care at all to explain this. They just said that there were always female Custodes, which is nonsense because we know that that's not the case. And when you start digging, you will find those examples that I talked about, and I actually did a video with some AI animation about, well, literal proof, the text, what the text say about Custodes being men previously in the lore. So you can see that that was really always the case, and not what GW says. So that was very disingenuous of GW. And when a company does this, you, as a intellectual, someone that is supposed to be thinking for themselves, you're not supposed to be taking a side in that kind of a way that you may think if you're talking about teams, like a football match or whatever. You're supposed to have an objective view of what actually happened and how things are, because if you don't, if you allow yourself to be biased towards the company or the characters in particular, the faction in particular, and you just cannot think straight, then you ended up defending the company and saying that that's fine. Because why not have female Custodes? Well, because you're missing the point. The point is on principle. And we in 2024 seems to have forgotten what a principle is. It's important, it's imperative to have principles by which we have to think, live, and try to be objective about the things that we want to say anything about, to form an opinion of. You have to have a informed opinion, and to say that there's nothing wrong about how GW handled the situation, and to say that, to totally actually ignore what they said, which was extremely disingenuous, and basically it's a spit in the face, it's a disrespect to everyone's intelligence, because when you know that something is not true, it's a matter of fact, you can go Google it, you can search, you can see that female Custodes were never there, while they're telling you that they were always there. That's not okay of the company. You're not supposed to defend a company that is willing to be so disingenuous towards their fans and to insult their intelligence this way. Just ridiculous. So even if you don't think about the lore, even if you just take this example of behavior towards us, the fans, from the company, well, you cannot justify that. Just because of how they handle this, you cannot justify it. And then we can talk about the lore, but still, female Custodes just fall flat on their face again because GW did not provide a lore to back up their existence. They provided the story in the lore, which many people that totally forget about how these things should be handled, pointed out that this was the lore. This is, yes, a lore, but the lore does not explain nothing absolutely anything about female Custodes. It explains how a particular, I forgot her name, Cash at the end was her last name, had a mission. You know?
And that's it.
She performed this mission, these games that they play, to see if anyone can do anything to the emperor, basically. And that's it. And then there was another little story, I think, but that's it. Just like showing small short stories about female Custodes, integrating them into the grand scheme of things with just very, very small, minuscule actually, pieces of story. But not explaining what really matters, which is how they even are there. How their female Custodes all of a sudden where they have been this whole time in the Warhammer 40k 38 years of history. I mean, depending on where you're counting the history, but you know what I mean. Since the Custodes were created, where were the females then?
Yeah. Nobody have seen them. Nobody have heard of them.
There is no one that
Nobody.
interacted with anyone of note. The Emperor, a Primarch, well, whoever in the lore, whatever Space Marine faction, whatever they're supposed to be. I mean, Malkador. No mention of them. And you know why? Because they didn't exist. And because Jidao did not actually make any effort to create explanation for their existence. So you can say that there is lore about them, but that is true and not true because the lore about them is just short stories, and the other half, we do not have the other half that actually we need to explain why they are there and how they are possible. Because if the process for creating female Custodes is so much more superior and grand and complicated than the creation of a Space Marine, then why not there are not any female Space Marines? Is it because the process of creating female Space Marines is so much more inferior that it just cannot make, enable, so to speak, a woman to survive it? Like, what is there? So this creates also a tons of questions that by any logic just cannot be answered. And if they try to answer them in the future, they might screw over female Space Marines as well, because this can lead to also female space. I mean, to screw Space Marines and to make them female. That's what I mean. And that again is not gonna be at all genuine, because for 40,000,
yeah.
41,000 years, there is not one female Space Marine. So, I mean, if you have to write them now in the lore, you have to say that let's say Fabius Bao did something because he already has like super soldiers that are basically like Space Marines, but they still are basically a unique unit of a warrior. So you cannot say that's a Space Marine. It's not the same thing. It's not the equivalent of a Space Marine. Could be in some aspects, but how they are made and how they can function is just a totally different Frankenstein type of a piece it together creation. That is more like that than it is a Space Marine. It is how I think what Fabius can do. So now in the lore, of course, he stole a very important thing that you may know. And that's not good. Belisarius Cole is not happy about that. Maybe Belisarius Cole can do something, but you have to do so many things, so many gymnastics, so to speak, how to write this in a meaningful, substantial, actually to matter way. That's long. That's very long to say in the lore. So I wouldn't be also in favor of female Space Marines, because that's dumb. It's just dumb. We don't need that. Space Marines are like, manly, that's good. I need them this way.
They don't look like female at all, so who is this helping?
Yeah.
Who? It's not you. Also, let's not forget the notable appearance of one in that episode of the Tides. Was it the Tides?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Which did they do it so that they solidify it in the lore? So, because everything that happens in that animation series, it's part of the canon. or whatever. But again, seeing it in live action still did not help, because we saw actually how ridiculous it looks, it sounds, and whatever.
Yeah, female space
Yeah,
marines will be the same. Like a
exactly.
huge manly block of a
Yeah.
woman that's actually more manly than most men.
And also, if anything, it took away from the Sisters of Silence, which we had one of them in that episode, and we saw how actually
Beautiful and feminine she can be.
exactly, and that it's that they already have a great female factions, and they don't need to do anything else with the other factions. They don't need to gender bend them or anything else, because they already have what
Gender bender.
everybody likes. Gender bend. Yeah.
Gender bender.
Gender bend. So really, I don't know to who did that help, and how can people just close their eyes and say, it's okay, oh, the war does not matter. If the war does not matter, why are you a fan from so many years? How can you be a fan of something and say that doesn't matter?
Yeah, at least we have a principle on which to go by when
Yeah.
we assess how the lore should be, what are the directions that the lore could go towards. So basically, you know that Warhammer 40k is a grim dark universe. Already these factions that they existed for tons of years, like Sisters of Battle, Sisters of Silence, and all of a sudden to make such a significant change is not only that it's not needed because it does not serve the story in any way. I just cannot imagine how would they write this so it can serve the story in any way. I just cannot imagine that. It's just gonna become more convoluted, and it's gonna take a lot more from like the grim dark feeling than it's going to add something. So to me, it's going to make the quality less than more, so to speak.
Probably they can't imagine too how they could write that, so they just said they were always a thing.
Also, you shouldn't do that. I mean, if you would not do that to the other factions that are female, if you do not create a male sister, a male brother,
male brother of
silence, or a male battle sister brother,
something cousin,
sister of brother,
sister of brother. That's
brother.
yes.
The battle. If you're not gonna do that, then do not have a double standard and do not do it to the male factions. I mean,
Absolutely, yes.
As a girl, fan, I like my male factions male.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's a reason why they are male factions.
Yeah. I mean, this whole mindset of the whole woke movement in 2024 that you have to segregate and you cannot relate to the other gender ever because what? They're not human? That's dumb. Like, ask anyone that have developed some wisdom, no matter the age, but they developed enough wisdom, self-awareness, understanding of a lot of things in life, and they will tell you for sure that a woman and a man can totally understand and relate to each other if they're both emotionally mature and intelligent enough, and you do not need your organs to match in order for that to happen. There's a lot more to a human being than just
feelings
and
emotions
their organs. I mean,
and organs, yes.
I mean, you can overcome that to an extent and understand the other person because we are first people, human beings, the same species, and then we are male or female. Of course, male and females. I almost said females and females. I kind of feel like
male and female.
Male and female. Okay. If I say something stupid, correct me.
But it's fun.
If I just blend the words together. So yeah. So if both men and women can totally understand each other because they're first human, then they also can appreciate what makes them different. And that is what is happening when you just watch a movie, play a game, and all those things. Now, I saw a comment the other day. Someone actually wrote that they cannot play with a female character in the game, and that was about Ciri in the new Witcher 4. because she's a girl and he cannot take a
He
girl
cannot
being hit in the
relate
game.
to that because he's not a girl, and when he thinks of the girl being hit by a man, he just feels, you know,
Stick
not
to his stomach or
okay,
something
sick
like
to
that.
his stomach or things like that, you know. So
That is very
and
strange.
so either that person was 12 or 15 and he started playing games now, or that person totally forget about games like Tomb Raider and, you know, the fighting games in which you can choose a female character and you still fight in a tournament. I mean, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken, anyone,
Yeah.
whatever, you know, other games with female characters, you know, Resident Evil and so on and so on.
The Japanese games.
Yeah, I mean, we totally forgot about that, right? So they never happened.
Yeah, I
Or
guess.
that person never played them, apparently. So even Witcher 3, because in part we play with Ciri there,
And
right?
everyone
So
forget that she actually played with Ciri and its natural progression to her character.
yeah,
For her to become a Witcher. Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people also compare that story to the female Astartes or female
totally,
Custodes,
yeah,
but it is not the same. It is not the
absolutely, yeah,
same because
totally
there's a
different.
lot that's already set up in the whole lore of The Witcher throughout the books, like breadcrumbs, hints, and whatever that basically showcase that series extremely special,
Yeah,
and she can be the one who can actually survive the trial of the grasses and actually become a witcher.
yeah,
And there are some people that are still under the impression that that's not the case, and nobody is supposed to be surviving that if they're a female. But for Ciri in particular, even if it's said somewhere explicitly that a woman cannot become a witcher, for Ciri that just does not count because her whole arc, her whole life, everything that she went through, what she is physically, mentally, magically, everything as a whole allows her to actually go through that and become a
yeah.
witcher.
It is explained, and and we know how she's earned it. This ain't no Rey Skywalker, or just a
Yeah,
Rey,
it's not a
you
Mary
know.
Sue thing.
Yeah,
She earned it. She has gone through a lot. She has earned it. She will be the only case. That's the
exactly.
point.
Yeah, and that's what will make her actually unique, and we can appreciate it more. How can we appreciate a female stories actually?
Yeah, we cannot because
We
Ciri is still
cannot.
Ciri,
Yeah,
and she still will probably have her powers, and she's not gonna lose her identity as a witcher or whatever. She's just gonna have these additional powers. That's what we think about the additional powers. I think that they're not just gonna be replaced, but we'll see. But about the female Custodes, there's just no excuse, no nothing. It's just an empty shell of
yeah,
nothingness
just there.
that we got, and little piece of lore and this extra story that we did see in the tides, that was actually good. It was a good story. I mean, these little short stories about female stories, they're not bad, but what they matter, they have no ground to stand on. They have no place. I mean, no business being there because they're not explained why they are there in the first place. If there was a man under this armor, the story will still be very good, still gonna be actually cooler because you're gonna see a male. We are back. Are we back, guys? Are we back? Tell us if we are back because yeah, the internet broke, and unfortunately, but now it's supposed to be fine.
Backup.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that, Dan. And hi to you, by the way. So, let me see what you wrote. Isn't it a big waste for Ciri to be a witcher? She should have been an empress or something. Well, not according to the story and how she's written from the very beginning.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
she can help more as a witcher than an empress.
Yeah, she doesn't want to like sit on a throne or anything
Yeah,
like that.
that's
not her
not
thing.
really her thing.
Just not her character altogether.
Not being able to, you know, the empress, or you know, whatever they had in the Witcher actually cannot do so much with, particularly with the monsters. That's where she is needed. You know, fighting with the real monsters for that.
Yeah, and Dan says, I own all the Custodes books. There were never any women, and it's a bad change. It takes more away than it adds. Yeah, my point
Yeah.
exactly.
That's actually the books. Actually, are I think the only thing that they cannot erase and change, because everything that is in different, fan wikis or whatever, it's absolutely and totally changed now.
Yeah,
Really.
but that's after the fact, and everybody knows that that's
Yeah.
changed after the fact.
At least we know that. Yeah.
You can always eat,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah,
You
eat
can
it
always
up,
eat.
the old lore, the
Yes.
original thing. And it makes the Silent Sisterhood less special. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
I was writing up some good comments. Yeah. I have a Windows 11 issue that I thought I fixed, but I guess not. I tried 500 different ways and still doesn't work. So, unfortunately, that's still an issue, guys. But at least we can, with the function of YouTube, we can be back very, very fast without actually streaming the stream to break into 2 parts or whatever. Okay, so that's about the female Custodes. The biggest lore change in recent memory in Warhammer 40k, I cannot think of anything bigger or anything worse.
Pretty much in anything lore connected, actually. I mean, really, that's not even in comic book something as ridiculous as that happened. I mean, and there are ridiculous changes in comic books lore, but this was really a thing, So one of the bad highlights of the last year.
Yeah, for sure. Mr. YouTube says the original lore that matters the most and not some made up F up stuff, just to a piece
A piece.
to an address that didn't exist.
Exactly. That's actually
Or there are
what
2 people.
the whole that's actually what we've been trying to say all along with Superman, by the way. Not getting off topic, but still, what we said is what matters about him is what is in the lore of him as a character, not that after some years someone decided to, okay, I'm going to write him more humanized, okay, I'm going to write him to be more stupid, okay, I'm going to write him. That doesn't matter. That's decisions of some writers that decide to do it, but it doesn't change the character. That's what we mean, 'Cause some people said in comments, the fact that he's beaten down means that he's humanized because we're supposed to relate more to him.
You're talking about Superman.
Yeah. I just remember that it's again a stupid change that people do.
Yes.
For that matter,
And they don't get it, by the way.
We try to explain that exactly, that this is why the original war matters mostly, not that some people decide to change things after that. The original will be the original.
Yeah, and it all depends on how the lore itself is written from the beginning. There are some standards that are set, principles that are, well, again, set. You have principles. And it's one thing in the comic books how things are changed there. And they always at least to try to make it make sense. Sometimes they do not succeed, but at least they try. And in Warhammer 40k, you do have already established principles for almost 40 years, and you're not supposed to break those principles to just add something that it does not add substance to the whole thing. So, especially if you do something so major, you are supposed to do everything possible to explain it, to give it life, substance, meaning, and all of those things. And if you cannot do that, do not actually go and proceed. I just can't. I'm gonna explode.
Yeah.
And Brava says, Joy Toy box say Brotherhood in the back of the box. And that's cool.
In the back of the box.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Joy Toy didn't get the memo, I guess, which is great. And Dan says 40k has been better than most Western IPs when it comes to respecting their own lore and history. Thankfully, we are far away from having the franchise damaged, so far at least.
Yeah.
Superman shouldn't be beaten down.
In my opinion.
That's in my opinion. Okay. If it happens, it should be an incredible and rare occurrence. Superman isn't challenged in the physical realm. His tests should be those of his character and heart. Exactly, but
Exactly.
but most people just don't know that, and they are trying to say to us that we are not fans because
that he always got beaten down.
when always what?
You know, people there are characters who can hurt him, and yeah, but really, as you said, rare occurrences. That's what makes him again, you know, Superman.
That's why
Rare
he's
occurrences,
Superman
you
and
know.
not the average
It's
man.
not. It can't always be. He goes to meet Batman, and Batman always keeps a kryptonite piece in his belt just in case.
Sure.
You know, how is this going to help you anyway? It's one small piece. It's not that even if that kryptonite is a small piece, he has to put it literally in his nose so that actually something happens there, not just to be okay. It's over here and you're over there, and
Yeah.
he starts. You know, and some authors actually did this. You know, it should be a small piece, and you're far away in Gotham, and Superman just appears, and he all of a sudden starts feeling that kryptonite, and they say
Yeah.
that that's bullcrap, man. You know, so yeah,
Ridiculous.
ridiculous.
That's just lazy writing to do
Absolutely,
this to
yes.
the hero. And guys, you have to have in mind, and sorry, we changed the name to Superman for a second, but you have to have in mind that a lot of these stories that James Gunn referenced are actually not canon.
Non-canon.
They're just not canon. I'm sorry. So you
Non-canon.
gotta
Yes.
know what's canon, what's not canon, who is the writer, how is he influenced, why did he wrote this and that, like Kingdom Come, for example, which is a reference 500 times.
Yes.
But those are the stories that do not define Superman. Those are the stories that are otherworldly. That's why they're not canon. So you can say that that's very good representation of Superman in some aspects, but in others, it's just another worldly story. How things could happen if this and that.
Yeah, it's like All-Star Superman.
Yeah. So
Good.
there's
Let's see the
that.
comments.
But yeah, thank you for that, Dan, because it's absolutely spot on.
Absolutely,
I just
absolutely, yes.
cannot
That's
believe the
it.
amount of comments that said that I know nothing about Superman. Nothing.
Well,
And I'm the one who does not want to see him being crushed and spitting blood in the first few seconds of a trailer of a new movie that's supposed to be brighter and more smiley
and he
and
doesn't
whatever,
smile or
and to feel
anything.
hope and to look up. Like the previous day, they tell us with a
Look up.
teaser of the
Look up,
teaser
yes.
to look up, and then the first shot of Superman, he is crashed down. He falls
Yes.
down like a comet.
And
Thank you.
James Gunn clearly says with his own words that this represents some political things. But then when we made that video and there were people telling us, "Oh, you're taking it too serious. You know, it's no politics or anything. It's just a movie." And I say, man, the director said it himself,
No, they still don't
you know,
acknowledge that he said, by the way.
right?
Yeah, it's not, he didn't say it. And one person said that it is the same when in the comic book Superman spoke about against bigotry and against the KKK.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Full equivalences. To be a normal person and to be against racism and to be against being a bigot in general is not necessarily politics. It's just normal day principles and morals to not support stuff like bigotry and racism. That is
Absolutely.
Superman for you, but it is not. Superman is not supposed to be used as a tool to represent your country being beaten up and bloodied up in the snow.
Absolutely.
Because that is it exactly. That is what James Gunn said. So we're not going to acknowledge that.
Exactly.
He said it.
Everything we said in that video was actually things he said. You know, Hive and Nando.
We did not come up with that from our butts. So I just don't get why, if somebody these days doesn't agree with you when it's about Superman, this guy, you're either a Zack Snyder fanboy,
Yeah.
and that's why you don't know
And
anything.
that's why I don't know. Yeah, absolutely.
Or you just don't know Superman. But how is that prove that you don't know anything? I mean, you can acknowledge what Zack did, and you can acknowledge what other people did, and you can also acknowledge that his Superman is the most successful Superman, commercially successful Superman as well.
Yeah.
You just can't acknowledge the facts and move on.
Yeah, yesterday I saw a post about a guy saying that he has friends who, when they saw that scene in the trailer in which he tries to break the glass or something
With a ton of effort.
with a ton of effort, maybe it's kryptonite glass, who knows, and they immediately remembered about the Fleischer cartoon, you know, Superman, that from 40 something or whatever year was that, 42, which is a great cartoon. But they immediately remember about that there is a scene like that and there, or something like that, something similar. And the guy in the post said they know nothing else about Superman, but isn't it great that they watched that cartoon and they're excited about the movie? And I say, man, and you say we don't know anything. So some guys who saw this cartoon never made the effort to learn anything else about. I saw that cartoon too when I was, I think, 6, and my first meeting with Superman. But then I said, "Oh, they are comic books. Let me see them. Let me learn who this guy is."
The cartoon was not enough.
No, because it's a great cartoon, but it's a great representation for Superman in 1942, but not of who he is really. He barely could throw a punch in that cartoon. By the way, he fought with some 2 guys with wrenches for 5 minutes,
5 minutes.
and I was always wondering, why is he fighting with them with such an effort? When an episode earlier he was putting back a train,
Yeah.
you know.
Inconsistencies in his
Yes,
power levels.
but we don't know anything. But
Yeah.
some guys who watch a cartoon, and that's great. They watch the cartoon, they remember the scene, they know nothing else about him, but that makes it, so perfect.
So now Superman
know.
will not punch anyone,
Apparently, just a glass.
and nothing will happen
Nothing
because
will
he's
happen.
not strong at all. The
Yeah,
strongest
yeah.
person in all comic books.
Dan says something interesting there.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember James Gunn was producer of Brightburn. That's an interesting fact. I didn't know that. So that explains a lot. I think that movie was a horrible twisting of the Superman idea. I don't believe he has any real love for the character.
No.
If he really is a producer of that thing, then that explains a lot, really. Yes.
Yeah, that's the most disgusting, cynical look of anyone that
Absolutely.
ever could
Yeah.
have such powers. So
And things like that
it's
for
horrible.
Superman work only, let's say, once. I mean, they did it in, let's say, in Injustice. Absolutely logically, why he would become that, evil Superman that he becomes. And then after that, everybody says, okay, now evil Superman, evil Superman, evil Superman. And I say, man, how many times we should see that? Enough is enough.
Yeah, that was a one-time thing, like
Yeah.
another otherworldly story. Is
Again,
that who
again.
Superman is?
Yeah.
Not even a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, so
Let's go back to in the rails now.
yes. So Mr. YouTube says also reminds me of Space Marine 2 meme I've made. Imura, I appeal to the modern audience. Titus, all 10 of them? Imura, surprised Pikachu face. Yeah, and Fernando, thank you for that. May the Emperor protects from these heretics, absolutely.
Yes.
So yeah, disappearing from the topic of Superman, which is very, very current, but still, let's talk about
Another Superman.
another Superman, Henry Cavill.
Yes.
I mean, the fact that his project actually continued forward with Amazon. Now, a few things to consider. You gotta not forget, guys, that when the first time that the news came out that this is happening, of course, everyone have tried to cover it, and they did, but then we did have the official GW announcement that actually, because of the vastness of the universe, which I also said even before that, they will take their time, and that is what happened. So there was one side of the coverage who pushed this narrative that this is already dead, and they repeated that 500 times. So just remember that this happened, because this is very disingenuous. Those people decided to push very heavily with a few videos that this will never happen because it's gonna be woke and horrible and I don't know what. And yes, we know about Amazon's politics. We also know that they are able to produce some normal stuff as well. They did do secret level justice,
Yeah.
especially the Warhammer 40k episodes. Some of the other episodes, actually, we watched also Mega Man, which was great. Never watched Mega Man myself, but that was so great, so compelling. I watched it
Yeah.
actually 2 times. So it was beautiful. And New World, the game with Arnold, that was amazing. Anyway, point is, when the team behind the project is a solid team, Amazon actually just give their support, and they do not actually try to put politics, gender politics, or whatever in them. Actually, no. Actually, that was great what they did with that project, and that proves that they can do impartial things. And also, Also, I did tell you guys that based on the objective knowledge that we had, not the pushing of the wokeness and whatever, that we understand who Henry Cavill is. And by that knowledge that he will not take any bullcrap, because he
Yeah.
already demonstrated that with The Witcher. He said enough is enough and he quit. Knowing also, I mean, we know that this is one of the most favorite characters that he ever
Of his, yeah.
dreamed to play, and he did, but then they ruined him, so he decided to just quit. So yeah, we know who he is, we know that he loves Warhammer 40k, and that he stands for absolutely doing justice to the whole universe. We know that, that's a fact. Second, we know that the universe is extremely vast, huge, and it is very complicated from which point of the story you should start, considering that all the other universes, like Star Wars, Dune, even Foundation, Star Trek, Stargate, whatever, they do have some kind of a consistency, continuity, and all those things, and you just can't tell random stories to the general audience because Warhammer is going to become mainstream when those shows or movies or both hit the screen. It's going to become more mainstream than has ever been because we have never had such a level of production when it comes to Warhammer 40k. So it's imperative for them to get this right. And thus, it did take a lot of time for them to sit on it, think, and finally come up with some kind of a solution. And this solution, the point is, guys, that this solution, it is totally talked through, and Amazon cannot just decide to now do whatever they want after they agree upon with GW. It just doesn't make any sense. Henry Cavill is at the head, at the helm of this. He's leading this, so whatever he says goes, and that comes from also some other sources. The sources of Mr. H Reviews, who actually said that he has people that are working inside Amazon, and the project is going forward. He said that when all the speculations were going on, that the project does not, I mean, totally speculation that does not, is not going forward. He said that he heard the opposite, that it is, and I said that projects probably is going forward, or at least we shouldn't be just thinking that it's over because 5 YouTubers want to just push the story over and over and over and over again. Just beat it up like a dead horse. When there's absolutely no ground on that. We just know that they had the negotiation by this point. That was it. We didn't know anything else. And so, after Henry actually came out with the official statement, he did say exactly that because the universe is so big, they had to take their time and talk about it and decide and whatever. So whatever they decided on, they signed it, and Amazon have to go by that. They just cannot write another Lord of the Rings nonsense like they did, with the Lord of the Rings,
with the
because
Rings of Power.
with the Rings of Power, and again, the Rings of Power were brought as an example of how Amazon ruined it. Yes, they ruined it, but this is false equivalency, because with the Rings of Power, they actually did not have the original material. They had basically nothing.
Just the appendices or whatever was it there from the book. That it's not connective tissue of a story, so they had to
make stuff up.
And they did exactly that.
Yeah. So there are two separate things that you have here. One, you have GW, they're strong, they have Henry Cavill to help them out, and they have their strong positions on how their universe should be presented on screen. Surely they have that. On the other hand, you have the appendices, and they are by an author that's just no longer with us. And whoever is holding the rights to his
nephew, who does not care about what happens. His father, his nephew, so the son of Tolkien, used to hold the rights. Then he passed away, and now his son, so the nephew of Tolkien, holds it. He does not care. So he just basically said, money, okay.
Yeah, money, okay.
My grandfather said, no. Not nephew, so a grandson. So
Grandson, yeah. So yeah, so we have two, totally different things. One, we have company that actually wants to do justice by the lore. Since they are going with Henry Cavill, they surely have to do that because he is a man of principle, that we know.
absolutely.
And on the other hand, you have a dead author, unfortunately, and somebody that, his grandson that doesn't care. So
Yeah.
Amazon can take that, they can hire the woke staff and all those things, and they can do a mishmash,
Yes.
which they did. A total crap.
Exactly, and I think they actually will start to learn from things like that because they had that which just burn all the money up, but then also they had things like Invincible, which had some changes, but it's still respectful to the source material and still a great show for now, I hope. Secret Ever also tested the water pretty good with all these episodes that, are short vignettes and here and there, So to test what happens, and some of the episodes are actually quite good, those of them that we saw so far.
Yeah, and they hired the guy that previously worked on Dawn of War series.
Oh yeah,
He did the cinematics of the games, and he did a great job. Now, I did heard about one episode that was like kind of crap, but I don't know what that is. I mean, all the games that are featured are not actually the most famous games ever at all.
I mean, I would be happy to see a new Mega Man game without graphics. I would play that. It's time for a new Mega Man game.
Absolutely amazing. Okay, let's read some of the comments. I live in England, believe me, there are no modern audience. Whoa, people still like the same things generally across all European nations. But we are actually worried about you because you are living in England, and we do not we know what's happening in there, and we just hope and pray that things are gonna get better so you can also live,
And
feeling safer.
I also hope that Doctor Who will make a return someday, because man, they burn it to the ground, that show.
Right now, yes.
Poor Doctor.
Absolutely. And Dan also says, I think 40k is going to be an immensely expensive project. I would love to see Cavill as Gilliman, for example, but I don't know if they can make a story that focuses on the Primarch and the Marines. So, like I said, if Henry Cavill thinks like me, and that means to set the stage to explain the Imperium and the Emperor, then he should start somewhere, either before the Horus Heresy, at least flashback to the beginnings of the Emperor, just make it shorter, but just show how the Emperor was created and all those things, or how he rose to power, how he created the authorities before that, of course, everything else that happened before the Astaris, and the Thunder Warriors, and then the Custodes, all those things. Start from that, Great Crusade, planets. You can make this faster, and if you want to focus on the Horus Heresy, but you have to establish the Imperium and the main characters and how stuff are created, how Custodes were created, at least to some extent, to emphasize what is the difference between Warhammer 40k and every other sci-fi universe out there. You have to emphasize the grimdark, you have to emphasize the technology, the retro, like the gothic style of everything, just the nature, the spirit of 40k, that has to be concrete, established, so people get what the heck is Warhammer 40k, because it is totally different from Dune. It is not Dune. May have some similar things like that, but similarities, just like samurai and Jedi, they're not the same thing. They're totally different. They look different. They feel different. They sound different. They interact probably, different. There are no super mega soldiers in Dune. I don't know such a thing. And whatever, there are no super disgusting worms like that, huge in 40k, and sand and spice, and
the Emperor is not a gigantic worm that can be
just
killed by
drown.
water.
That's it. Just drown him and that's it. Yeah, so for the general audience, it's just imperative to get the idea and to have this continuity, a start and a continuation from there. Surely you gotta get through the Horus Heresy. That's just the most dramatic
in some way,
thing that ever happened to the whole universe. gotta be shown somehow. So if he thinks anything like me to want to present 40k to the whole world, you do have to have this continuity and not just throw orcs separately, then throw Eldar separately, then separately Space Marines, and separately, you know? You can do that in like spin-off stories, but you do have to have one main movie or one main show that will showcase the whole thing, that will have the base of everything, and then from that you can do the slapping orcs on the screen, slapping Eldar and Necron and whoever in different episodes or different movies or whatever. But 40k has to be established, period. And the Imperium is the heart of 40k, and the Emperor. That's it. And he could be also more fleshed out when we watch how he conquered the world in his early years, which is going to be absolutely fascinating to watch. If there's a good writer that is brave enough to write a character like the Emperor and is not afraid because he is so larger than life and whatever, then we can actually see something fascinating on screen. Like, remember, any line that the Emperor ever said to anyone is always fascinating, and we're just sitting there listening, especially if you're listening to an audiobook format. Like, what is he saying, and how is he saying it, and what does it mean? And you're like, oh, the Emperor, because it's rare, it's amazing, and it's always deep in some kind of a way. So fascinating is the word. Yes, Daniel Endymion, Arch as well, John De La Rose as well, and some other channels. There's one guy that pretends to be Endymion, like Endymion, something Endymion. Yeah, he just copy paste basically what Endymion does. Mr. YouTube says, I find the Lord of the Wheat currently 10x better than whatever Holy Wake produced. The Lord of the Wheat? What the heck is that?
I don't know. Maybe
it's about real wheat
parody or something. Yeah, probably.
And Dan says, actually, I think Amazon learned a lesson from the future of Rings of Power. No one actually loves to throw money into a fire. Yeah, and there are also some reports that things are actually changing behind the scene at Amazon. That's something that Quinn said, and he read it somewhere. He's an OG fan that actually is here on the channel. He's participating in some of the videos. So yeah, that is something that he read as news, that things are changing behind the scenes in terms of the walkers. Hopefully that's the case. About Amazon, that was about Amazon in particular even. The Concord What is crap, didn't watch it, never planned to it. Yeah, we haven't seen that. We only seen a few.
Yeah.
I don't know even what episode is the Concord one. And Dan says, I would love a retelling of history of the style of what we got in the Fellowship of the Ring. It began with the forging of a great imperium. A last alliance of Earth and Mars launched a great crusade. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan, is that a like a side story of that connects to the whole story, I mean? In that manner? Sorry guys, so yeah. Bravo. I think Necrons could work separately like End of War and Heaven. Yeah, separately, but still you gotta know as a general audience member that they are part of the whole thing. I mean, they do have their separate story about the war in heaven, which is great. Which is so great, so fascinating. And you can actually tell that and not tell the Imperium story, because the Imperium story is later. It's later. So yeah, that could be separate. Yeah, you're right. But would you start the whole Warhammer 40,000 with that story, the Necrons?
Yeah.
Although it does precede the Imperium, or would you start with the Imperium because that's what Warhammer 40k is mostly about? It's, most of the stories are about the Imperium because we're the humans, basically. But yeah, you are right that it could be like created as a separate thing. It's just that if you create the Imperium first, you will spark the interest of the masses about the whole universe of Warhammer 40k. They will want to know who else is there besides us. So then you can spark the interest about the Necrons and their story with the war in heaven, and you can spark the interest with the Eldar and the orcs and the Tyranids later on and the chaos and everything
And
else.
later on everything.
Yeah, but still stands that the Imperium should be the base. That still stands actually, even though it's not the first thing that was created. The Lord of the Wheat is a German trolled up from the early 2000s. It is stupid, but still, I find it funny. So it's a parody?
Yeah, it's the same movie, but the dub is they're saying whatever they want as jokes. You know, there was a thing like that also in Illusion.
No.
When they called Aragorn was called agronome. That's a Bulgarian word for a farmer. Agronome. Yes. Not Aragorn. Sorry.
Speaking of Necros, apparently a book is coming from which will feature Gilliman meeting the Silent King. Yes, I'm waiting for that. In 2025 is the last from that series of books. I'm reading the previous one. So yeah, that's gonna be fascinating. So I'm getting on that as soon as it's out. The War in Heaven is an amazing story, but it's ancient history in the setting. They could mention it, but they shouldn't retell it. I'm not sure if they shouldn't, but once again, if they're tackling Necrons, they can always start with a flashback about how everything happened. And, you know, when I did my lore video with the like whole 40k for newcomers video, and I used a ton of different images, actually, I tried to do similar thing, to retell their story like that. And you get the whole idea of the Necrons like this, and then you just continue along and you have perfectly good feeling about who they are. So yeah, that's a possibility, of course. But yeah, basically, guys, I think that 2024 was the most significant year when it comes to Warhammer 40k so far. But 2025, there's something else that comes out. If actually some of the shows, or I doubt that they're gonna come out now because they have to proceed with scripts and have to decide what is the movie, what is the show. Maybe they already decided that, I don't know. But the point is that maybe it's going to take at least 2 more years until we see something on screen actually with Henry Cavill on it or behind the camera.
Yeah, we might get again something like Secret Level at that time.
Yeah, we're gonna get some animation.
From the shows and the movies, yeah, I think not until 2026.
And the other thing that I forgot is to mention that we got the biggest AAA game ever. That is Space Marine 2. Yeah, I mean, of course, for Warhammer 40k, this is the biggest AAA game, third person that we got.
And a ton of Joy Toy figures.
A ton of Joy Toy figures. Just Joy Toy became one of the best action figure makers in the whole world because their figures are
they should get more licenses.
Quality.
I mean, they got now that was it Infinity, that game? I forget.
I don't know what that game is.
The figures look great. I also have no idea what the game is. So they have the Ninja Turtles now, so I hope they get more and keep making good stuff. Because compared to McFarlane Toys and his Warhammer figures,
yeah, total crap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, guys, we are here. Guys, just tell us in the chat if you can still see us, basically. Gilliman is one of the best figures I've owned. They did a great job. Yes.
Totally.
Absolutely. One, I can see you. Okay, thank you, guys. Nice, well, we're at the end, but yeah, I'm sorry about that. Should not break anymore still by this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2024 is a turning point for entertainment, that's for sure. People are tired of the BS that is thrown at them and calling it out. Yes, thank you for that. But now I just cannot believe that we're going to have another, and we are having another argument about Superman, but that's not still gonna be developing. We have 6 months until we argue about Superman.
I mean, if you want, we can do a stream about stuff like that in 2024. Not Warhammer related.
Yeah, what's gonna be the new...
If they're going to watch or, you
know. The new arguments of 2025.
Yeah, turning points of 2025. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, it is a turning point. I hope now that this year, since the crash that Sony got with their Craven movie, I hope that they finally learn and stop making those and start doing, superhero movies, not actually villains who are superheroes. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, that too.
Which
That too.
reminds me that I remember one movie that we watched in that year. We were wondering, yes.
Yeah.
Madame Web we watched it. It was this year, right?
Ah,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, let us know if you want us to make like top 10 or top 5. We're not sure if we're gonna get to 10. That's why I say top 5, but yeah, top 5 movies of 2024. We can also do that. Next week I'll go watch Sonic 3 because it's better than Mufasa.
Oh, I heard that
Screw
too.
Disney.
I want to watch that too, yes.
Yeah, we're not gonna watch Mufasa. I don't wanna watch that. It's gonna be sad. I would love a live reaction of Timeline of 40k Universe by Trazin the Infinite video. Unless it's already been done. I'm not sure I have done this. I'm not sure if I've done this. Mufasa isn't great, Sonic 3 is much better.
Did
yeah.
you watch it down? Any walk moments if you watched it? Like, I mean, in Sonic 3? or it's great because it doesn't have those things. That would be nice.
Yeah, let me just click on the Trazin Infinite thing. Wanna save it. Yeah. Ah, yeah. Wait. By Trazin. Yeah, that's by Warrior Tier. Yeah, I meant to do that actually a year ago. But I didn't. But yeah, we can do that. We can do that. Okay, guys. Have a great night. We're gonna return hopefully very soon, tomorrow if possible. And just write down below in the comments what top 10 like movies or games we may do of 2024. Something about 2025, like most anticipated movies or games in 2025 as well. We can do that. So yeah, just actually I can put a vote.
We can,
Yeah,
you
put a
can put in
vote.
something like, for example, best games we played or had the chance to touch at least in that year. We actually had more chances to do that.
Yeah, well,
with games.
number one is gonna be
well.
for sure
well.
the monkey.
well.
The monkey game actually beats Space Marine 2 because it's just
just
just the quality, just the level, it's above all games. What to do, even though it's hard, but still not that hard.
But still not that hard.
Yeah. Who would you hire as the film director for a 40k TV show? James Cameron? I'm not sure, but James Cameron is good in grandiose, big stuff. And definitely keep an eye out for it. Okay, bye bye. Have a great. What is that? Gift throw day.
Gift throw away day.
Throw away day? I don't know what that is.
Because we're going to throw away gifts.
I don't know.
Because it's after Christmas and you throw away the gifts that you don't like or need.
I never throw
like that,
away gifts. They're
no,
gifts.
it's
I respect them. Even if I don't need them, I respect them. Okay, guys, so yeah, I may do a poll on the community tab about what top 10 you like to see, but you can always just write in the chat exactly what you like to see, and we're just gonna do like the most wanted thing.
Yeah.
Whatever is possible, really, for the time that we have until the New Year's. You explain next time. Yeah.
About the throwaway day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, guys, so love you. Thanks so much for watching. If you like to support me, links are down below to everything that you need, as well as my own non-Slaneshi, absolutely normal content pocket dimension of goodness and non-Slaneshi content once again of OnlyFans, where I do use it shockingly so for normal content, for coaching services, talking about fitness, health, nutrition. If you have any issues in your relationships, whether that be intimate relationships or even friendships, I can actually analyze that and help you. So whatever you need, you can talk to me personally there or on Discord for free. But for any type of coaching and having issues in your fitness, health, nutrition, or intimate life, I am actually there, and I'm sharing how I'm sustaining my physique with very tastefully done and censored pictures. So yeah, using it for good for 100 times. I gotta repeat that. And if I can use another site for that, I would, but so far there's just no better site in which I can do exactly that and just upload unlimited and make it like a private safe space so people can actually talk to me about sensitive topics freely. So there is that. And thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. That's amazing. Thank you. It actually helps a lot. So Merry Christmas once again, and have a great and awesome rest of the days of the new year. And see you. See you
Don't
very
throw
soon.
away your gifts.
Yes. Appreciate everything that you have, guys. Love you.